Good morning from cloudy Texas. This morning we're here with Juan José Díaz Montaña. I should say Juanjo. Is that
Correct.
correct? Yes,
That's
I,
absolutely
I'm
correct.
getting it. I'm getting it correct. I've been practicing my Spanish this morning, and Juanjo works for LanguageWire. You just started, I think. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? You seem to have joined LanguageWire during what seems to be a really significant technological transformation. So I would love to know your background a little bit more and go ahead and introduce yourself and how you came to LanguageWire.
Yeah, absolutely. So very glad to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about my background and my history and how I landed in LanguageWire and how it's been the time that I've been there. So yeah, I come from a technical background. I've always liked challenges. I started very early my career on the fintech industry in London before fintech was even a word. So just when the banks and all the finance was moving towards the web, towards cloud, towards newer systems. From there, I jumped to the industry 4.0 revolution, as they call. So autonomous machinery, autonomous vehicles, autonomous tractors for agriculture, autonomous vessels for maritime, autonomous power plants and manufacturing, and pretty much anything that moves and have intelligence. Um, from there, I jump a bit into cars and insurance and the digitalization of the whole kind of insurance market and how artificial intelligence is opening a lot of opportunities to on how you work with insurance, but also a lot of risk, right? Since everything is easier to fake, everything is easier to manufacture. And from there, I gave my last leap to the language industry, which
Yeah.
is fairly recent to me. I've only been in the language industry for around 3.5 to 4 years.
It's very
So
interesting. You're going to be able to give us a really fresh take on what's going on in our industry, and what is your plan at LanguageWire? What are the foundational elements you're focusing on to prepare the LanguageWire platform for long-term AI innovation, you think?
yeah, so I think like LanguageWire, like most of the industry, has been in a constant change, but that change has been accelerating on the last few years, right? We have seen how AI, MT has been taking more and more, has been getting better and better. Now we're seeing how new approaches, MTQE and different quality estimation metrics allows to save even more cost, to optimize even better, or reduce the involvement that you need from the human experts. So focusing the human on the things that really matter. Now with the whole arrest of LLMs and sort of more general AI, it's a whole new world that is opening, right? How the translations will become even better. You can have much more complex intelligence systems that are taking care of much more specialized tasks instead of having the intelligence system doing just the basics, the simple, the machine translation, the more generic aspect, and then having the human focusing on everything else. And I can easily see a future where we will have the human working hand in hand with the AI as an assistant, having multiple assistants even. So the humans are focusing on the things that really matter, that really require the local knowledge, that really require a lot more the human touch, let's say, while the intelligence can take care of a lot of other things that are much more generic, much more repetitive, or just simpler to generalize and to identify.
Yeah.
So in that sense, there has been a big change on how our platform is, right? We have to move from a platform, uh, basically a TMS, a traditional TMS that can be used to manage translation projects, to create jobs, to send jobs, to do all the word analytics, all the word counts, and all these type of things, or having our CAT tool, which is integrated. And we have to grapple that into or turn all that into a data system and into an AI system, into an intelligence system. So all our customers, all the people translating, all our translators working with us, they are generating data, producing data, they are working, and based on that we can continuously monitor and evaluate what we're doing. We can see if our intelligence is working, is not working, if our processes can be optimized or cannot be optimized. And that is the challenge here, right? Create a system that is not only an operational functional system, that is what our translators, our customers want, but also have a much deeper engine capable of doing all this data processing, capable of continuous optimization, capable of getting better all the time. And with all the technological changes that are also being very flexible in terms of replacing pieces of technology, adding new technologies, and just like adapting to change, that seems to be getting faster and faster.
Yeah, you're coming from a background that is specifically AI and LLM related. You're coming to a TMS that is heavily entrenched in localization. What are the differences in work methods between the different departments in your company that you need to align, and how do you drive alignment between AI and R&D and engineering and product design? How do you organize that?
Yeah, I think that the challenge that many companies are seeing at the moment is we know that AI it's very powerful, and many companies have a lot of experience building products. But now the challenge is how to connect those two. How do you connect the power of AI with with a product that actually is useful and actually is needed? So from that, the change that we have been going through, it's focusing into our products, turning more into a customer obsessed product company, something that many companies in all the industries have been doing in the past few years, right? That's a general trend. And working a way that we start with the customers, we start with the needs, we start with what is actually that we can improve, what are the problems that we can solve. At the same time, we have on the other end our technical experts or engineers keeping up with the state of the art, keeping up with the latest technologies, and just doing experimentation, doing proof of concept, and just getting knowledge of what is out there, what can we do in-house, what can we get from elsewhere, etc. Then the challenge is how to connect those two. And that is where we have our cross-functional teams, where we have our product expert working closely with marketing, with our commercial department, getting insights, getting market knowledge, what is actually that is needed, what are the problems that translation, that people that is working translating, that other LSPs, what are the problems that we need to solve?
Yeah,
and
I
then
was
work
just
together.
Go ahead.
Work together with all technical experts on, okay, based on those problems that we have to solve, we have clarity on the problem. What are now the technical options? How do we close the gap? And based on all the knowledge that we have been gaining on the other end, right? Establishing a solution through experimentation, through testing out different possibilities, and getting to a place where we actually find products and solutions that fill needs that our customers have.
Yeah, that's maybe the most difficult part nowadays. Everybody's very gung-ho to implement AI solutions and come up with new ideas. But I think it's pretty challenging to find the right ideas that the translators are going to be able to use and leverage within your platform. How do you ensure that the AI development stays grounded in solving real user problems and not just chasing trends and slapping an AI solution on there that maybe not a lot of translators are interested in?
Yeah, so we have a very clear vision internally that we spend some time developing after Young LanguageWire, and we continuously review, continuously make sure that it is still grounded, it is still valid. We have our user researchers, some more specialized on customers or translation buyers, but some also working closely and more specialized with our vendors and our translators, our proofreaders, and all our experts. And those are the people that will get all the insights of what is actually needed. And those people work very closely with the actual technical team that is implementing things and that is trying things. So we try to don't just go ahead and implement things that make no sense. We also have room for experimentations with our hackathons. We have our we have our space for just like crazy ideas and investigation. But at the same time, we try to keep focus on what are the real problems that we want to solve. And for that, you need a very clear vision, and you also need to keep a hand on the market and talk to the people and be out there and really gather insights from the people that is actually using the system.
Yeah, I wanted to slip in one question, maybe a little bit beyond just the AI focus that we're going applying for most of our conversation this morning, but maybe you can tip the veil a little bit on how, in your opinion, the tech stack is evolving in this new techscape. What role does modularity and interoperability play in how you think about what LanguageWire is doing in that regard?
Yeah, that is it is absolutely crucial. I think that as we are seeing, so modularity has been already important for a few years, not only in the localization industry, but in all the industries. We see that technology is moving fast. It's not moving equally fast in all the fronts, but in the areas where it's moving fast, it's really important to be able to keep up to date. If your
Yeah.
system is not modular enough, that means that any change potentially break everything. That means that you are very constrained by your own system. Translation and localization system, they are particularly complex in the sense that there are many moving parts. You have your translation memories, you have your glossaries and your term bases, you have your project management tool that you use to manage all the project lifecycle. You have your CAT tool that the translator and the experts are doing. You might have an internal tool that you use to manage your pool of translator and what they can do, what are the specialization, what are the languages. You have, of course, all the entire AI setup and your AI engine, data lake, whatever you have. So all these moving parts, they are working together, and they might evolve in different directions.
Yeah.
And all of them are closely integrated. You want the people who's managing the project to be able to select what translation memory to use and how that translation memory should be used. You want those translation memories and the content that you get from it to be showcased into your CAT tool. You want all the intelligence that is produced by the AI on all the flow followed by the AI to be shown to the human, so he can also evaluate if things were correct or not. So everything is very tightly interconnected, but at the same time, you need to be absolutely capable of replacing entire pieces, because let's say that tomorrow, like it's happening now, right? We have agentic MT coming strong, replacing neural MT quite fast. You need to be able to replace that without having to replace the rest of the system. And having something more complex, like let's say agentic MT as an example, if you're doing a more complex process during the machine translation that involves multiple steps with back and forth while improving the translation and so on, you probably want to show that and offer transparency. So that means that you also want to change your CAT tool and how the customer or how the user, right, the translator interact with it. Maybe now with the LLMs, we want to change the CAT tools so it becomes more of an interactive tool where you can tell the tool, okay, this entire paragraph sounds a little bit weird, and then it will review all the segments in the paragraph. So all these different parts have to evolve independently, but at the same time, they have to stay connected.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm very interested in your vision a little bit on that. If we can peel the onion back a little bit more, you already said something about agentic AI. There's different views on how to implement the best context-aware translation solutions. What's your vision on RAG to be used for that? You guys getting involved in MCP? Those are all kind of buzzwords that we were hearing about, and that I'd love to get your opinion about a little bit more.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's there is a lot of hype. We're at the peak of the hype curve, and we're in the process of finding out where is the actual usefulness of all this. It seems clear, it's been proven that agentic MT works better, overperform neural MT. in certain cases. How to do it, and what are what context to use, what different steps to use, how to set guardrails onto the process, all of that. There is many approaches, and I don't think there is a clear winner yet. So that is that is what we are at the moment researching. I think that's what everyone is researching. Different people might be at different stages. I think that at the moment, the process is clear, right? It's clear to all the industries, but particularly clear to the localization industry. You need to build a context that is as rich as possible.
Yeah.
And for that, like I say, you have all your modules, right? You have your TMs, you have your term bases, but you also have the additional metadata that you might have, right? Of what is the area of the project? What is the document type? What is like, you have a lot of information. Then based on all that context, you start the process of how you translate and how you improve the translation. And LLMs, like any other technology, has goods and bads, right? It can be really good, but it also can be very slow. It can be very expensive. The results can vary depending on the model. The back and forth that you have with a model, when things go well, they can go very well. When things go bad, they can go very bad. So whether you establish a fixed process like in traditional translation, where you have your post editing and you have your proofreading and so on, whether you have a more circular type of process where you are continuously improving until you reach a certain cycle. Adding RAG, how do you add RAG? What do you add exactly in the context? At the moment, I think we're all in an experimentation phase to see where we land exactly.
Yeah. From your experience, what makes a system intelligent in a practical, scalable way, not just theoretically?
I think a system is intelligent. Is the most intelligent when it can consider the most context as possible and take decisions that are correct based on that context. Right. That applies to everything. That is how I design the system working with a tractor. That is how I design a system working with a translation. At the end, you need to be able to consider as much context, as much data around what you're trying to do as possible, make the right decision, and make the right optimizations to come up with the solutions that are correct.
Yeah, one of the reasons that I really wanted to talk to you was this notion that you're not directly out of the industry. I've interviewed a lot of people that are involved with these kind of projects that are directly from localization. They bring a lot of experience, but maybe also a lot of luggage, or at least there's a risk of that. And your transition to LanguageWire, I'm really interested in finding out from you what parallels did you see between your past automotive projects and what you're doing right now, and what challenges that are AI driven are different in this industry and maybe make it unique.
Yeah, like I said, I think that the similarities or the parallelism are just around the intelligence system. Intelligence system, it's the same that considering an intelligent person, being able to see your surrounding, to gather the information, and have enough knowledge to make decision or to act. And that applies the same to all the information, right? You can get information about the situation of a car, or data from pictures of an accident when I work on insurance, or data about the soil and where you put the seed when I work in agriculture, or in translation. You get the context from the full document, the style of document, the area, additional information that the owner of the document is providing about how exactly he wants the translation. Any other data that is around the pure text. And then you use that to be able to complete the translation as correct as possible. So in that sense, it's very similar. I think that the difference between different industries is, of course, that every industry has its own important point. What is very important for automotive is not very important for other industries. And in some areas, you can allow big mistakes in some industries. In other areas, you cannot. Some areas, quality might be very important. In others, it's not. And what makes localization particularly difficult, in my opinion, is that it is not black and white, right? It's not mathematics. Language are very human, and what someone consider correct, another person consider incorrect. And we see that when you see like quality evaluation models and MQN and all these things, that there is no silver bullet here, right? I'm from the south of Spain. Everyone assume when they hear me speaking that I'm gonna be sort of a hillbilly, low education, whatnot. Is this stereotype? They get surprised when they hear that I can speak English, or when they hear that I don't have the same accent in English that I have in Spanish. And yeah, it's two different languages. You learn in different contexts. Your brain wrote them entirely different, so the accent is entirely different, and the way you reason, the way you process things is entirely different in the languages, and that applies to everything.
For an industry that prides itself on not being biased, there's lots of bias in the language that we extrapolate, I would think, and you draw those kind of conclusions by listening to somebody speaking and connecting dots that maybe shouldn't be connected just based on the sound of the way somebody speaks. It's a very good observation. Where do you see the biggest opportunity to infuse AI solutions at LanguageWire in your infrastructure, and not just as a product layer, but deep into the pipeline? What gets you most excited?
Yeah, I think what I'm really excited about at the moment is how much better can we get our translation process to start with, our machine translation, how we can improve now with the new technologies that are coming up, how we can bring a lot more context, like I was saying, that we didn't have before. And then for me, the next frontier will be how we establish the relationship between between the expert, the human expert, and the machine. Because of course, as a pure machine system, you can do up to a certain point, and then you can have the person reviewing. But that's not how the new technology is working. That's not how the new AI is working. The new AI is much more based on a back and forth. So this entire back and forth, I think it's really important. And also we need to build a data flywheel that actually use all this interaction, use all this process, use all of this to continuously learn and continuously keep getting better. So actually, once you're working with the technology for a while, it continuously get better, continuously optimize.
Yeah. And many companies struggle with the last mile of AI. What's your approach to moving from a working prototype to a reliable product in the end?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, we really distinguish sort of prototyping and experimentation from the customer, the kind of customer-facing product. And we are very careful on how we plan how to integrate our technology to solve a problem. We need to have the problem, we need to have the solution, but then we have to be very strict with ourselves on how that implementation works. How you actually make sure that your AI is safe, how you make sure that everything is scalable, how do you make sure that everything is secure. All those aspects have to be built in during the development of the product or the feature of whatever you're doing. It's not something that you can simply do a prototype and then throw it into the product or stitch it there with some chewing gum, duct tape, and just expect everything to work.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say there is now this. If you follow a bit about vibe coding and developers saying that, or non-developers or developers saying how LLMs and AI is gonna take the jobs of programmers, and other programmers saying, well, everything that is being developed now by non-programmers using LLMs, it doesn't really work. It's insecure, doesn't scale, it's have lots of problems. So in a couple of years, we will need again all the programmers to be actually fixing all the mess created by AI. And I think that both kind of are right and wrong. Definitely, LLMs and the new technology is reshaping everything. It's going to make everything faster. It's making prototyping faster, experimentation faster. At the same time, it cannot be the only thing. You cannot just rely everything on the machine, because as of today, it's not as good. It maybe is in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. But at the moment, you need that clarity that you need to understand very well what the machine is doing, and you need to build everything around it to make sure that it actually does exactly what you want with the security and the requirements that you have, and with exactly what you need.
With all these changes that are being implemented, are the key KPIs changing and what you track as indicators to measure the impact of the solutions that you're providing? What are you measuring? Are the KPIs the same? Are they changing? And if they're changing, how are they being different?
Yeah, it depends. Some of the most basic KPIs at the moment, they are not changing, right? What is the quality of machine translation? That is still extremely important. What is the time savings that we are producing to the translators because of the technology? That is not changing. There will be for sure new KPIs. I think that once we get to this paradigm where everything becomes a lot more interactive, then there will be a new KPIs, of course. The cost, like I was saying, the cost of LLMs, that's definitely a really important KPI, right? You cannot have an LLM in a loop for 3 hours trying to improve a translation, burning tokens and burning your money. Latency might become variable once you have a set of agents instead of having a simple translation. How AI, not just talking so much about MT, but how AI is leveraged in general in the organization, will also require new KPIs. Are the developers and the engineers leveraging KPI? Is that improving the way that they are doing things? Are the people working more in operations, the product managers and the project managers, sorry, and the localization specialists leveraging AI and making their work easier, automating parts that can be automated, and basically saving time of their work for the things that really make a difference and the things that really matter. So I think that the basic KPIs will probably stay at least for a while, but there will be a need for quite a few new KPIs.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges also regarding KPIs is that at the moment the impact of AI, depending on which front, is not so trivial to measure.
Yeah.
Right? How much time you save sending emails by using ChatGPT
Mm.
versus not using, or how much more productive a developer is using AI or not. It's not a black and white thing that you can simply measure. So I think that's also something that we will see in the near future. Maybe better innovative ways of how to measure the impact of AI in the organization.
Yeah, one of the challenges, and you touched upon it a little bit already in your last answer, is that you must serve radically different user bases. You have the translators on one side that are active within your platform, but then you have customers as well, and customers and LSPs. How do you keep user context top of mind when you're developing product, and how you parse that out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good question, and that is one of the challenges of the localization industry. Yeah, that you
Mm.
serve this type of customers and users, and at the end, each of them might have entirely conflicting interests,
Mm.
and you need to balance out the interests of all the users. Um, at the end of the day, we have our product teams, like I mentioned. We have our product experts and our product marketeers and people that is working closely with the different segments of our users. We have our customer success manager working closely with our customers. We have our vendor management department working closely with the translators and proofreaders and different DTPers and different specialists that are working on our platform. So we have different parts of the organization focusing on different customer segments, and they are bringing all the insights to our product experts, and our product experts are discussing, distilling options, and just coming up with the ideas of how we can move the product in one direction or the other, considering the input and the insight and the interest of the different user categories or user segments.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about ethics and working in sensitive domains. You've worked in cybersecurity and things like that. How do you approach AI ethics and risk in a multilingual setting? What's your approach?
Yeah, I think that the challenge with security and with ethics when talking about AI, it's not a specific problem for localization, right? It's a problem also that applies to all the industries. The what make extra challenging for localization is that the document that your localization can be anything, from an absolutely relevant magazine to a patent to a lawsuit to something that actually could take down an entire company. So you need to be extremely careful and aware of what you're doing with all that. Um, my take on cybersecurity has always been that it has to be built in. It's not something that you can sprinkle on top of your products once you're ready. It's something that you have to be very conscious. You have to have a strong posture, and you have to continuously monitor, continuously improve, and continuously work on. It's a moving target. Things keep getting more dangerous in a sense, right? Attackers keep getting smarter. Technology keep getting stronger for the good and for the bad. So you need to get also stronger on the defense. And AI just make all that even more difficult, because once you start using AI, you're sending data to systems that maybe are not so easy to understand. When you're storing data in a database and you are reading and writing, it's very simple to understand what you're doing. Once you start sending data to an agent, maybe it's not so clear what it's actually doing for everyone. Once you're going into an agentic system, when you have multiple systems, when you have tools, when you have NCP servers that are being called, when you have all this type of setup, it becomes even more obscure, more difficult to understand exactly how data is being moved, what is happening with data. So it is extremely important to have a really clear picture of what is the data that you are managing, what is that you're doing with it, how are you processing, how are you storing it, how are you moving it around, what are the systems that you're using, how do they process, right? All this type of thing. A lot of it at the moment, it's pretty much mandated by GDPR in Europe. But even though GDPR is a generic law, still it is very important that companies take the time and the effort to really take seriously the risk of adopting AI without understanding the implications of the tools that they are choosing, or the flows that they are using.
And especially since we're most of the time we're building wrappers around just a few existing AI
Mhm.
solutions that are the best performing, and everybody's kind of doing that. How do you build transparency in a complex AI system without overwhelming the user or the engineering team? Because transparency is one thing, but at what point is it too cumbersome to even look at all the the people that have touched the data and finding out what the handoffs are?
Yeah, it is definitely not easy. It's time consuming, and it can be very heavy for a newcomer, right? If I have to go now and explain to someone exactly how everything works to the detail, it's very complex. We've talked about it a bit ago, that we're talking about distributed system with lot of moving parts, lots of data going up and down.
Yeah. Do you
So
believe do you believe there's a role for user facing explainability and localization tools, like showing how suggestions were generated and
yeah, absolutely. I think that is necessary. I think that the users have the right to understand how the system works from a high level. Of course, there are different levels that you might want to go depending on the audience. Some people just want to know about what tools are you using, what is on your control or what is not, what is located in one country or another, this type of thing. Other stakeholders or other users might want to know more detail of what is happening. But even thinking more now about the translator, or the person that is reviewing, or even the consumer of the translator, right? The customer buying translation. Um, it I think it is right to know exactly where the translations are coming from, whether they are coming directly from your TM, whether they are coming from 1MT, whether they are coming from a more complex process where MT has been refined, and what were the options that were considered. Because all of that will give you all the options. And when thinking especially of the translator, will give the translator the option of choosing the optimal translation, right? That come back to what I mentioned at the beginning, that it doesn't seem entirely crazy to me that in a few years we will have CAT tools and translation systems that are a lot more interactive with the translator, and less of a stiff workflow that you just follow the steps and you expect that at the end you'll get the best result.
Yeah. What's your take on watermarking or labeling AI generated content in professional settings?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Um, I think that at the end of the day, it's using ChatGPT or a similar tool. It is very similar to what you could do yourself, just going to Google, just going to different sources and getting all the knowledge. So the problem has always existed. The question now is, well, it is now just easier to get more content from other places. It opens the door for plagiarism when you start getting verbatim entire sections from other places. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of responsibility. So when you are doing a research about any topic, you are gathering your sources from many different places. You're writing your article or your whatever you're doing. Of course, when you're taking things from other places, you normally have to reference. You have to say where that is coming from. Of course, if you get your own conclusions, you write your own article based on a lot of things that you have been reading.
Yeah.
It's not expected that you're going to do that, right? You are coming out with your opinion. I think that when we're talking about LLMs and AI, it's something very similar. If you're taking a verbatim output of an LLM and just putting that right out, there is a lot of chances that it's going to be wrong. There is a lot of chances that it's going to be outputting things that might not be true, might be hallucinations, or things that might have been taken verbatim from some other source, or any of these cases. However, if you are using the LLM as an assistant, as a support, if you are actually working on the content yourself, you are going back and forth with the machine, you are putting your footprint there, then it is your content. You have an assistant, right? This is the same that if you write a book or do a research and you have assistant and people working for you,
It's
that doesn't make
it's become increasingly noticeable. I actually see it with my son. Even when he's watching a video on YouTube, he'll recognize instantly whether this was created by a human or an AI. And I think that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to in content creation, whether it's multilingual or monolingual. People are going to get more sensitive to that, and it becomes a lot less authentic right
Yes.
away when we're watching, a stupid 5-minute video on a topic that you're interested in, but it's narrated in a way that you can clearly tell there was no human involved. I think that's going to be a big, wouldn't you
Yeah,
agree?
and it's all very contextual, right? Because if I receive an internal memo about something that I just want to know more or less what it's about, then I can just do a quick translation with whatever system, or I can tell LLM, please summarize this endless monograph that I receive and give me the highlights. And yeah, it doesn't have to be 100% correct. I can be fine with that. Now, if I'm printing a book, I probably want it to be more correct. I want to make sure that it's actually saying what I want it to say, right? Or if I'm printing the manual for some medical device, well, that's a matter of law, that it has to be absolutely correctly because people could die. So it's like anything else, that the level of quality really depends on the context, and also how much you can rely or not on the LLM blindly will depend on that. And yes, of course, if you're going to put an LLM piece into the instruction of a medical device, well, you shouldn't probably. And if you do, you definitely have to put some warning on that, because it's dangerous, right? So at the end,
It's
it's all based on the context.
it's definitely becoming a lot more clear that it's just another tool in our arsenal that's going to make us a lot more productive, but we can't just blindly follow it. Uh, Juanjo, we have spent almost 40 minutes, I believe, already. It's been a fascinating conversation about what's going on in AI at LanguageWire. One maybe slight curveball at the end of our conversation, just to keep you on your toes. Uh, what's as the AI guy at LanguageWire, what is the most exciting project that you're working on right now that you can't wait to share with the rest of the localization world?
I think that the most exciting project that we are working at the moment is precisely what I mentioned at the beginning. So agentic MT, the next generation MT, and how to make that not just slightly better, but how to make that into a much better system, and how to introduce the human into the loop on the exact right points, to ensure that we get the maximum quality with with the less time as possible. And with the current technology, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's changing a lot the paradigm of how things are working. So it's a very interesting area. I think it's a bit of a race. I think that everyone it's running behind that. It's a matter of seeing how good we can get it. And that's always exciting.
Well, thank you so very much for spending some time with us today. We've learned a lot about what you and LanguageWire are doing in this space, and we're going to keep tabs on you. And hopefully, maybe in the not too distant future, you'll come spend some time with us again and give us an update on how things are going. Thank you so very much for your time today, and talk
Absolutely.
to you
Thank you very
soon.
much, Stefan.